Are you looking for the best NFL bets around? Then get ready for the NFL's Week 7 IDP Plus Moneyline Podcast. Welcome back to the IDP Plus Moneyline Podcast. My name is Johnny the Greek. How you guys doing? How are we? Hope you guys had a good week 6. Lord knows I did. 10-2 last week, 2-1 in the article, more than quadrupled my investment with a parlay round robin of literally everything I talked about last week. So very, very good week in 2 weeks in a row of winning bets, winning record. So let's hopefully keep that going for week 7 here. Before we get into it, though, these are not even suggestions. We're literally just discussing the bets I might be making personally. Set a limit and stick to it. For help with problem gambling, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. All righty. Let's get into it for week 7 here. And we're going to start across the pond over in London. We've got a third London game in a row this week. 9:30 a.m. kickoff this Sunday. We got the Pats at Jacksonville at the Jags, even though it's in London, neutral site game. Right now, Patriots are getting 5.5. Jacksonville giving 5.5 minus 110. Either way for the price. Over under of 42 points. Money line is Pats plus 190. Jags minus 230. And I mean, it took me a minute to find something with this matchup because they're both pretty horrendous, and I have no idea who's going to actually win the game. But I did, we've talked about this before, right? We want to find value. We want to find a weakness that either team has, or a trend, or a stat, or something we can key in on, and then use that to craft a bet out of it and exploit that value, exploit that weakness, and that's how we stay ahead of the game with this. I did find one. So Jacksonville is the worst pass defense in the league right now. They're allowing 276 yards per game through the air. And so Drake Maye over 200 passing yards is only minus 130 right now, which is a pretty good price for not that many passing yards. So Maye had 243 last week against Houston, who is obviously a much better defense overall. Houston is the 4th overall pass defense across the league, and they were legitimately killing his ass with Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter all day long. This is a much different animal with Jacksonville. So Drake Maye is probably going to have more time in the pocket, a little more space to work, etc. And once again, he's up against the worst pass defense in the entire league. So I think we got a good shot here for Drake Maye to get over 200 passing yards. And then when it comes to pressures and sacks as well, last week Houston was number 6 overall in sacks across the league. Jacksonville is just middle of the pack at about 14 overall. So that's all looking good for Drake Maye to have a little more time in the pocket, the ability to complete some more passes. And then we just need him to get over 200 passing yards at minus 130, and we're looking good. So pretty good bet to start things off, I think. And that will take us to our first 1:00 game. We got a divisional showdown. Lions at Vikings should be an excellent game. Right now, the Lions are getting 1.5. Minnesota is giving 1.5, minus 110 either way for the price. Over under of 50.5. So Vegas thinks we're getting a shootout. I tend to agree. Money line is Lions plus 100, Minnesota minus 120. And same deal here. I was looking for weaknesses or trends or something we could exploit within this matchup. And there isn't much. These are two very solid teams, basically across the board. But I did see that Minnesota, while they are the second best rush defense in the league, they are the 3rd worst pass defense in the league, allowing 263 yards per game. So I'm going to take Goff on his over here for passing yards. Goff over 250 passing yards at minus 120. And this kind of lines up with the expected game script as well. So, higher total, 50.5 points, only a 1.5 point spread. Whenever we see that, that's Vegas telling us this is going to be a shootout and they don't know who's going to win. And that's exactly the kind of setup we want for Goff to have a lot of passing yards. And 250 is not a lot for him. So this is totally doable. And we're asking him to do it against, one of the worst pass defenses in the entire league right now. So that looks good to go. Goff over 250 passing yards, minus 120. That will take us to Titans at Bills, next 1 o'clock game on Sunday. Tennessee is getting 9.5 points. Buffalo is giving 9.5 points, minus 110 either way. Over under of just 41 points, and probably most of that's going to be Buffalo. In fact, if we look at the spread, they got Buffalo winning by 10 here. So that's probably a good 30 points right there for Buffalo, 10 or 11 for Tennessee. That's the way Vegas thinks this thing is going to go, and I agree completely. So if we look at the money line, it's Tennessee plus 350, Buffalo minus 455. That's how sure Vegas is that Buffalo is going to win this game. You'd have to bet 455 to make $100 on Buffalo money line this week. So what I want to do is take the Vegas spread and tweak it a little bit. We had quite a bit of luck doing this last week, so let's keep it going. I'm going to say Bills minus 6.5 alt line at minus 162. So the Bills are first in the AFC East. They're 4-2 overall. They parlayed their on-the-field victory against the Jets last week with an off-the-field victory, signing Amari Cooper. They are a balanced offense. They are 7th in the league for points per game. They are 11th overall in defensive points per game. They have the second, the second best turnover differential in the league at +8, while Tennessee is at -7, also known as second worst overall throughout the entire league. Tennessee is also led by Will Levi, who only has 5 passing touchdowns through 5 entire games. He's thrown 7 interceptions so far, and he's been sacked 15 times through 5 games. That is not great for him. That is not great for Tennessee. And Will Levi is going to get a Bills defense this week that is finally getting healthy. They got Terrell Bernard back a couple weeks ago. They got Teron Johnson back last week. Teron was awesome, had a whole bunch of tackles, had the game-winning interception towards the end there. Ed Oliver has been practicing this week. Taylor Rapp came back a couple weeks ago. So all the guys we were missing are coming back one after the other to this Bills defense. And they were still, pretty good defense before that. 11th overall in defensive points per game, missing almost half their defense for most of the season. And they're getting all these guys back. They're at home. Tennessee has to come to them. It just does not look good, right? Everything is kind of lining up for Buffalo to destroy these guys. And, with that in mind, you'd think the -9.5 would be good. And yeah, it probably is. But we never want to trust the Vegas spread. We never want to trust the Vegas over-under, because those are designed to be close. Those are designed to screw us. They're designed to make us lose. So anytime we can tweak it a little bit, make it safer at the cost of the price just by a little bit, we should do so to make it more likely we win the bet. And that's what we're doing here. We're going to tweak it down a little bit, say Bills -6.5 alt line at -162. And now they only have to win by a touchdown, and we cover this bet and win this game. All righty. That will take us to Eagles at Giants, the next 1 o'clock game. Right now, Eagles are giving 3. Giants are getting 3, -110 either way for the price on that. Over under of 42.5 points. Money line is Eagles -166, Giants +140. And I was looking at the game itself. I was looking at the total. Nothing really sticks out on that. I really don't know how this one's going to go. Division game. Giants will probably be able to hang with them. I mean, hell, Cleveland hung with Philly last week, so the Giants will certainly be able to hang with Philly this week. So I don't trust that aspect at all. What I would like to do, and this is not out yet, but should be out either later tonight or tomorrow, is take Malik Nabers over on his receiving yards line, whatever that is. So Nabers has cleared concussion protocol. He should be back this week. And defensively for Philadelphia, they are beat up in the secondary. Darius Slay is questionable. Avonte Maddox was displaced by Cooper DeJean. And Kenyon Mitchell is the only other starting corner that's left out of that. So what the scenario we've got right now is either an injured Darius Slay, who's iffy to play to begin with this week, would be covering Malik Nabers, or a rookie would be covering Malik Nabers this week. Any way you slice that, it's not good for Philadelphia, and it's great for us, and it's great for Malik Nabers. So I definitely want to take him on his over for yardage this week, whatever that ends up being. That plus the fact that he's had 52 targets through 4 games shows us that he's essentially the driving force of this Giants passing attack. That is a batshit insane amount of targets through 4 games. That's well over 10 targets a game. So we know he's going to get the targets. We know he's not going to have a great cornerback on him. The Eagles' pass rush has not been as good as it has been in past seasons. That's very obvious so far this year. They're at New York. Everything's kind of lining up for Nabers to have a good game this week. So I want to take him on his over on yardage, whatever that may be, whenever it comes out. All righty. And that will take us to Texans at Packers next 1 o'clock game. Right now, the Texans are getting 3 points. Green Bay is giving 3 points, minus 110 either way. Higher over under at 47.5 points. Money line is Houston plus 124, Green Bay minus 148. And I think we're going to get a ton of points in this one. I just don't trust the Vegas total, and neither should you, neither should anyone. So let's tweak it, like we've been doing, and we've had pretty good success doing this this season too. So we're going to say over 43.5 points, alt line at minus 180. And once again, if the price is crappy, parlay round robin it. Don't parlay it, parlay round robin it. So, you still get the benefits of a parlay when you put 2 crappy prices together and get one good price at the end of that. But you can also get, 1 or 2 or 3 wrong if you put enough of them together and still end up with a profit at the end of that. So I cannot say that enough. Use parlay round robin. Do not use regular parlay, because all it takes is one random ass event to screw up your entire bet and destroy it. So use the round robin feature. Anyway, back to the bet here. So I think we're going to get probably over 47.5, which is the normal total. But just to be safe, we're going to tweak it down 4 points. We're going to say over 43.5 alt line at minus 180. Right now, Green Bay scores 27 points per game. Houston scores 24 per game. That would give us the clearance we need right there and a little bit of a buffer. But this Green Bay ranking of 27 points per game is also a little bit of a mirage, because they scored, fewer points when Malik Jackson was under center for a couple weeks there, when Love was injured. When Love is under center, Green Bay is scoring 30 points per game. So in that scenario, we just need 14 points from Houston, and we're good, and we're clear, and we're over this line, and we're cashing. I think we're definitely going to get 14 points from Houston. That's for sure. Houston is also the 5th best passing attack in the league. They're within the top third of the league for their rushing offense. They're 6th overall in yards per game. Vegas has this as the 5th highest total of the week. So they think that we're going to get a lot of offense. They know what we know, that these are 2 of the best offenses in the league right now. The only negative factor that I could possibly see for this game is that it's outdoors in Green Bay. So, if it's snowing or something crazy like that, we want to abandon ship. But I am insane enough that I checked weather.com earlier tonight, and it's going to be 76 and sunny on Sunday in Green Bay at 1 o'clock. So we're looking good. So I think we're good to go here. Over 43.5 alt line at minus 180. And I think we're looking good on that one. And that'll take us to Bengals at Browns, another 1 o'clock game here, another divisional game here. So right now, Cincinnati is favored by 5.5. Cleveland is getting 5.5, minus 110 either way. Lower over under at 41.5 points. Money line is Cincy minus 225, Cleveland plus 185. In the game itself, I'm not sure. I mean, Cincinnati should beat them, but this is the same Cincinnati team that lost to New England in week 1, in Carolina after that. So I trust them about as far as I could throw them with no arms. So yeah, we're not touching that. So what I did see, though, was that Denzel Ward is banged up for Cleveland, and he is their best cornerback. He would very likely be assigned to Jamar Chase, and it's iffy whether or not he's going to play this week. And even if he does play, we only saw him play about 50% of snaps last week because of the injury issues he's been having in recent weeks. Guys like Cameron Mitchell came in to cover up some of that missing playing time. And if Jamar Chase lines up on Cameron Mitchell, he's going to absolutely smoke him. It's not even going to be close. So I think we use that to our advantage. We take Jamar Chase over 70 receiving yards at minus 165. You could even turn that up a little bit if you want, but I'm going to play it safe. Say over 70 at minus 165. So, the Cleveland secondary, beyond Denzel Ward, who's banged up and may not even play this week, is already missing Juan Thornhill, who's on IR, Rickman, who is questionable to play this week. And then Grant Telpett is coming off of a concussion as well. So, most of the Cleveland secondary is either already out or questionable to play this week, or coming off of a serious injury. So it is not looking great for that Cleveland secondary, and they're up against Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, so it's probably not going to go well for them. I'm going to go with Chase, though. Chase was quiet last week. This is more of a gut feeling. I feel like in this type of scenario, he's just going to blow up and go crazy. So taking him at over 70 receiving yards at minus 165 feels pretty good to me. Start your season with a bang with IDP Plus. Use the promo code PROPS, PROPS, for 20% off your subscription. Gain access to exclusive tools, in-depth articles, and much more. Plus, don't miss out on our private subscriber Discord. Sign up now at idpplus.com/membership. Alrighty, that'll take us to the next 1 o'clock game, and it's a good one. We got Seattle at Atlanta. So Seattle is getting 3 points. Atlanta is giving 3 points, minus 110 either way. High over under at 51 points. So we should see quite a bit of offense here. And that tracks. These are two of the better offenses in the league, obviously. Money line is Seahawks plus 130, Atlanta minus 155. And just looking at the different factors here, I'm going to take Bijan Robinson over 60 rushing yards at minus 135. So the Seattle pass defense is 10th overall in the league and is pretty good. They got Devin Witherspoon back there. They got Tariq Woolen back there. I believe it's Julian Love that just went to IR, but they still got, they still got some guys back there, right? They got a pretty decent secondary. Pass rush isn't half bad either. So, that makes sense. But the defensive weakness for Seattle is their rush defense. It's just 27th overall and is allowing north of 145 yards per game on the ground. So even with Algier sniping some carries from Bijan, there should be more than enough for Bijan to eat this week, especially on the road in a hostile environment where the run game is always the preferred method of approach to control time of possession, remove the crowd from the equation, and kind of dictate the terms of the game, right? So I feel like Bijan's going to be heavily involved either way. Totally might have screwed that up. Atlanta might be at home, but that's okay. Regardless, Bijan's in a good situation here against the 27th overall rush defense that's allowing 145 plus yards per game. That's a pretty good setup for Bijan to get us just 60 rushing yards at minus 135. So I think that looks pretty good. And that'll take us to the last 1 o'clock game for this Sunday. It is Miami at Indianapolis. Right now, Miami is getting 3 points. Indy is giving 3 points, minus 110 either way. Over under of 43.5 points. Money line is Miami plus 130. Indy minus 155. And when I saw this, it blew my mind. So if you're going to do it quickly. I'm going to take Devon Achane over 40 rushing yards at minus 155. That's right. Just 40 rushing yards at minus 155. There is a chance Achane may not play this week, although he did practice in full today, I believe I saw earlier. So, if he's out, if he's inactive, same bet, just go for Mostert instead and adjust as needed, right? So if Achane is out and Mostert's line is like 60 rushing yards, then you go Mostert over 60 rushing yards, right? Whatever the line is for the starting running back for Miami this week, we want over it. We want over it because we've been doing this the last 2 weeks and it's worked the last 2 weeks. Indianapolis is allowing 155 plus yards per game on the ground each and every game this season. We rode this to pay dirt last week with Tony Pollard, and we had it correct. I just had the wrong player the week before with Jacksonville. So this is the worst rushing defense in the league in Indianapolis. So that's where the value is. That's where the weakness is. That's what we want to exploit. So let's take Achane over 40 rushing yards, minus 155. And beyond that, EJ Speed is questionable, may not play this week. That's one of their best run stoppers in the middle at linebacker. DeForest Buckner's still not back. Samson Ebukam is still gone. Tyquan Lewis is still gone. Juju Brents is still gone, right? This defense is still shredded, and it's still the worst defense in the league against the run. So we'll use that to our advantage. Achane over 40 rush yards, minus 155. And that'll take us to our first 4 o'clock game. It is Carolina going to Washington to play the Commanders. Panthers are getting 8 points. Commanders are giving 8 points, roundabout minus 110 either way. Higher over under at 51.5 points. But if we look at the spread, they're thinking that Washington's going to get like 30 or 40 of these points. That's the way this Vegas spread reads at the moment. Money line is Panthers plus 320, Washington minus 410. So Vegas is fairly certain Washington's going to win this game. And I agree. I agree completely. I just don't want to use the Vegas spread because, once again, it's designed to screw us out of our money. So we're going to use an alt line instead. We're going to say Washington minus 6.5, alt line at minus 146. And here's why. So Washington right now is scoring almost 30 points per game, 29.7 points per game, while Carolina is at just 17.2 points per game. That's a 12-point difference right there. That more than covers our minus 6.5 alt line. In fact, it covers it almost twice. So we're playing it real safe here, but we want to win the bet. That's what it's designed for. Washington is the 5th best team in the league in yards per game offensively. They are also the 5th best team in the league for rushing yards per game. They're within the top third of the league for passing yards per game. And if we look at Carolina for these same rankings, they're 25th in the league for yards per game, 23rd in passing yards per game, 22nd in rushing yards per game. It's literally two teams that are in different solar systems, different universes, right? They're not even close. Carolina is allowing 400 yards per game overall of opposing offense and a whopping 33.8 points per game defensively. That's absolutely nuts. They are, one of, if not the worst defense in the league right now. So once again, these teams aren't even in the same solar system. And Washington just lost a close game to a likely Super Bowl contender in Baltimore. And we all know that if Baltimore were playing Carolina this week, they would beat the living crap out of them. So, just 1 degree of separation here. Washington was able to hang with Baltimore. Baltimore would kill Carolina. Therefore, Washington will kill Carolina. So the only thing we're doing different here is turning down the Vegas spread by a little bit so that Washington just needs to win by a touchdown for us to cash this bet. And that's why we've got Washington minus 6.5 alt line at minus 146. Want a little extra in your fantasy football bankroll? Deposit just $10 with Fanduel and get $50 in bonus bets. It's the perfect way to... I'm going to take that over. 3, 2, 1. Want a little extra in your fantasy football bankroll? Deposit just $10 with Fanduel and get $50 in bonus bets. It's the perfect boost to kickstart your season. Don't wait. Claim your bonus now at idpplus.com/Fanduel. All righty. And that will take us to the next 4 o'clock game, Raiders at Rams. So the Rams right now are giving 6.5 points, and the Raiders are getting 6.5 points, round about minus 110 either way. 43.5 for the over-under. Money line is Raiders plus 245, Rams minus 305. And looking at this, there is a glaring weakness for this Raiders team, and that is their rush defense. So I'm going to take Kyren Williams, 80 plus rushing yards at minus 180. It is a horrendous price, but we could have gone 90, we could have gone 100, but how often does a running back get to 90 or 100 rushing yards in the modern NFL? Not that often. Asking Kyren Williams to get to 80 is far more likely. So, we live with the bad price. It is what it is. So this Vegas pass defense is legit. They are allowing under 200 yards per game through the air, but they're vulnerable on the ground where they are allowing north of 140 yards per game rushing. Excuse me. So Kyren Williams himself has passed that line in the last 3 games in a row. He's gone over 80 rushing yards the last 3 games in a row. And the Rams are favored by a touchdown in this game. So the odds are good that, late in the game, they'll be salting away the clock. And if Kyren Williams hasn't gotten to 80 yards by that point, he'll have plenty of opportunity to do so at that point. And, despite getting Cooper Kupp back for the Rams this week, they still probably won't have Puka. So, they're not going to have their full offense on tap to begin with. And what we've seen out of this Rams team when they're missing Cooper Kupp, when they're missing Puka Nuka, is they rely on Kyren Williams quite a bit more. And this is a good week to rely on him against this Raiders rush defense that is pretty bad. So I think they lean into that. I think they give Kyren Williams a whole bunch of carries this week, and I think he clears 80 plus rushing yards at minus 180. All righty. And that will take us to probably the best game of the weekend, another 4:00 game, Chiefs at 49ers. It's essentially a toss-up. It's a pick 'em. KC is getting a point and a half. San Fran is giving a point and a half, roundabout minus 110 either way. So Vegas has no idea who's going to win. I don't either. Over under 47 points. Money line is KC plus 102. San Fran minus 122. And I am not going to make a bet on this one. I have no idea how it's going to go. It could go a million different directions. And none of them I feel good about, so I'm just not going to recommend any of them. We will go ahead and skip that one because we've got 3 more to go, and I feel pretty good about the last 3 here. So let's see what we got with that. All righty, that'll take us to the Sunday night game. It is Jets at Steelers. Jets are giving 2, Steelers are getting 2 at minus 110 either way. Over under of just 38.5 points. So, probably a stinker, probably a defensive struggle. Would not shock me at all. Money line is Jets minus 142, Pittsburgh plus 120. And I want to do an alt line under 42.5 alt line at minus 177. This was under 40.5 alt line yesterday, but the line has gone up 2 points since then. So my alt line has also gone up 2 points since then. So if we look at the points per game for these two teams, we get 21 and 19 points per game, respectively, offensively. Jets, then Pittsburgh. It gives us about 40 points. It gives us 2.5 points of buffer with our alt line to get under 42.5. And, the eyeball test will tell you everything about these two teams. These are 2 of the best defenses in the league. There's no arguing that. But these are also 2 of the worst offenses in the league. So right now, Pittsburgh and the Jets are the 2nd and 7th overall defenses, respectively, in points per game allowed. They are the 8th and 2nd overall defenses in yards per allowed. Both of these offenses are clearly terrible. They're so terrible that the Jets are making moves like getting Devontae Adams, from the Raiders. Like that's going to fix having a 40-year-old quarterback or a team that's horrendous offensively. And the Steelers are doing just as crazy, stuff. They're starting Russell Wilson this week, even though Justin Fields is 4-2, has thrown 10 touchdowns and just 1 interception, and they're tied for the division lead. There is no reason to screw with what they got going on, but, they're doing it anyway. This is the 2nd lowest total of the week. This game is outdoors in Pittsburgh, where we've seen fewer points per game outdoors, fewer yards per game outdoors the last 10 seasons consecutively. This is, one of the most obvious defensive struggles I've ever seen in my entire life. So with that in mind, we're going to not trust the Vegas over under. We're going to put it up a few points, and we'll go with the under 42.5 alt line at minus 177. DraftKings is making it easier to win big. Deposit $50 and get $50 in bonus bets. With IDP Plus Insights and DraftKings, you'll be racking up those fantasy points in no time. Grab your bonus at idpplus.com/DraftKings. This offer expires on 10/22. And that'll take us to the first Monday night game. We got another Monday night doubleheader this week. So I'm guessing one of them is like an international game or a Mexico game, something like that. That's usually how this goes. The first one's the good one. The first one is the one we'll be watching. It is Ravens at Bucks. So the Ravens are giving 3.5. Tampa Bay is getting 3.5, -110 either way. Huge over under of 49.5 points. So we should see a bit of a shootout and lots of offensive fireworks. Money line is Baltimore -180, Tampa Bay +150. And I want to go Zay Flowers over 60 receiving yards at -115. So Tampa Bay does have a solid rush defense. They only allow 113 yards per game on the ground, which makes sense. They've got Levante David back there. They got Antoine Winfield Jr. back there. They got Vita Vea up front. I mean, it makes sense. It tracks, right? But Tampa Bay is also only the 28th overall pass defense, and they're allowing 252 plus passing yards per game. So, we know that Baltimore has a smart coaching staff. They're going to lean into this weakness. We see the total at 49.5 points. We know that Vegas is telling us that means a shootout. And what have we seen when we've seen shootouts this year from Baltimore? We've seen Zay Flowers heavily involved, just like last week, right? So also on the Tampa Bay side of things, Jamel Dean is banged up. So their best corner, Zion McCollum's up there too, but one of their starting best corners may not be available this week. And Zay Flowers has gone over this line in half of his games this season to start with. And he cleared it the last 2 weeks in a row by a ton. 132 receiving yards last week, 111 the week before. So he's on a little bit of a hot streak. And this is exactly the type of game script, scenario, situation, whatever you want to call it, that lines up for him to be heavily involved in the offense and, hopefully get way over this. I mean, that's not a lot to ask. 60 receiving yards in a game that's projected to have almost 50 points of offense. That's a no-brainer. That seems pretty easy. So we'll take Zay Flowers over 60 receiving yards at -115 for this one. And we'll round it out with Chargers at Cardinals, the other Monday night game, the bad one, the one that no one's going to be watching. Right now, the Chargers are -2.5. Arizona's getting 2.5 at -110 either way. Over under of 44 points. Money line is Chargers -130, Cardinals +110. And just looking at the different factors in this one, there is a slam dunk with this one. I'm going to take JK Dobbins over 71.5 rushing yards at -120. So Arizona is the fourth worst, 29th overall rush defense across the entire league. And they're probably going to be missing Kazir White, their best inside linebacker, on top of that. That's not good for them. So the Chargers love to run the ball to begin with. They're the 10th best rush attack in the league. They average 127 yards per game on the ground. And Arizona allows north of 153 yards per game on the ground. So this is a match made in heaven for JK Dobbins this week. And I think he easily clears 71.5 rushing yards at -120. Alrighty, so we got some good options for you this week. Hopefully we stay as hot as we were last week and have been recently, a couple good weeks in a row of winning record. And just remember, when you're doing this stuff on your own or you're listening to other content, etc., use all that as idea generators and then make your own creations. Look for a weakness, look for value within the matchup, and then craft a bet that exploits that weakness or, uses that value to your advantage. That is the trick to all this. But yeah, that's all I got. Thank you guys for listening. Good luck in week 7, and we'll see you at the same time, same place next week. Have a good one. Take care. Thank you for watching the IDP Plus YouTube network. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Be sure to tap the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload new content.